Did your violin teacher ever tell you you should be using weight instead of pressure to make a sound? And do you still really have no idea what that actually means? Let's fix that, shall we? I'm Tobiah Murphy, and this is Murphy Music Academy. So today's video is going to be a little bit different, a little more informal, maybe a little bit shorter. We'll see about that. But it's a topic that I've really wanted to talk about for a long time, but haven't quite figured out how to express it. That is until now. And that's the oh so misunderstood concept of the difference between using arm weight versus pressure in violin sound production. Now, it's very in vogue and has been for a long time for teachers to use the arm weight versus pressure concept when teaching their students about proper bow technique and sound production. However, 99% of them, you included, don't really understand it. It's just a thing they say because it sounds cool. And if you don't explain it properly, it becomes very, very confusing for the student because weight creates pressure. Like, if I put a 45-pound metal weight plate on top of your head, you're not going to be telling me that there's no pressure. Oh, no, it's just weight. It's just weight. Don't worry about it. There's no pressure there at all. And obviously, you should not be trying to control the sound by varying the amount of weight in your arm, right? You should not have a sound where, okay, here's a light sound, so I'm going to take out weight, and then another heavier sound, I'm just going to allow more of the arm to dig into the string. It doesn't work that way. However, if properly understood, it's not an incorrect concept. But the caveat of properly understood is doing the major heavy lifting here. So if the idea is worth something, what does it actually mean? To start, I would say we should probably rename the concept of arm weight to shoulder weight, because all good bowing technique has its root at the violinist having a really relaxed, and perhaps you could say heavy, right shoulder. So to demonstrate what I'm talking about here, and this is something, by the way, you can do with me at home, so, pause the video, get your violin out, and let's have a little lesson together. If I keep my right shoulder completely relaxed, and I take my bow and I place it right at the frog, and by the way, the frog is here. Half the time I tell someone to play at the frog, they start playing here. No, the frog is here, right? Just a millimeter above the metal part. If I place the bow right there, and I keep my shoulder down like this, right, and I just let the hand and the fingers hold the bow in place, right? So my arm is completely relaxed. This is just the weight of my arm, right? I can then take my thumb off the stick. And the bow can just be held in place by the weight of my arm, or, as I like to think of it, by the weight of my shoulder. Now, from here, if my arm is completely relaxed like this, I'm not pressing the bow harder into the string, right? No pressure. And obviously, with my thumb here, I can't take the bow off the string. So this is truly the neutral weight of the arm. And I can actually start a bow stroke with just this neutral weight. And, listen to that, like this. Completely clear sound, no scratch even at the frog. Relax the arm. Completely clear sound. The frog and the arm weight does not produce a scratchy sound. And really, that's what arm weight is. It's the default position of the arm that, if properly set up, will create a clear sound at the frog. But what about the rest of the bow? Well, now the thumb does have to come into play. So as I demonstrated before, I can hold up my entire arm and the bow if I place the bow right here at the frog, right? I can just completely relax the arm and get that arm weight sound. However, as I move further away from the frog, there has to be a redistribution of that weight, which is going to happen between the thumb and the index finger through a motion that you might know as pronation. So to show you the extreme example, if I'm going to be having the weight of the shoulder and the arm at the tip, the thumb and the index finger have to hold up the arm. So the way I think about it, the weight of the arm is from the wrist to the shoulder, right? There is obviously something happening, some more tension that's happening in the hand that holds up the bow right there. But it's the same weight, right? The weight is here, it's right at my hand. Now I have to redistribute the weight into my index finger, but it's still the same weight of the arm. It's going to have the same effect on the sound. For example, here's the weight of the arm at the frog, and here it is at the tip, so my arm is using the index finger and the thumb. hold that weight up. Same clear sound. Now, when you do a bow stroke, you just have to learn how to properly redistribute the weight from one side of the bow to the other. And that just takes practice, right? So you can start by seeing how far you can go with just the fingers and no thumb. So when I'm getting to about this part of the bow, I'm putting the thumb back on. Relax. And then you can kind of hear the sound go out because there's no index finger helping the sound. And then you can practice, okay, I'm going to just try to maintain that same feeling of the arm weight that I had here and just redistribute it here. And here I am, just nice relaxed arm. Right, and that's all it is. And that is essentially what arm weight is in violin sound, at least at the basic level. For instance, I'm not trying to get into the concept here of what should you do at the bow changes in order to soften it up so it doesn't have that harsh click at the beginning of every bow stroke. There's also varying the weight throughout the fingers. Like my arm is always like this. Whether I'm playing lightly or whether I'm playing loudly, my arm is always like this. It's in this weighted position. However, because I said the weight comes from here to here, the fingers in the hand get to decide how that weight is redistributed. So, my arm's hanging here, I could decide to not hold up as much of it with my fingers and have a softer stroke. I could do the same thing here. See, even without the thumb, I can play a little bit softer at the frog, and then I add my thumb, and I can engage the pinky more. Still very heavy arm here. And play very lightly. And these are all things that once you have the basic concept of arm weight, you can just experiment with. Anyway, like I said, really short video today. First off, I don't have a lot of time to make videos this week, but I needed to get one out. And also, it's a concept that doesn't really take that long to explain, at least the basics of. But so many people don't understand it, and I've been wanting to make a video about it for a while, so there you go. Of course, if you got something out of this lesson, there's a lot more where that comes from in private lessons with myself or any one of the wonderful teachers here at Murphy Music Academy. So if you're interested in that, please shoot me an email to admin@murphymusicacademy.org to set up a trial lesson with myself or any one of our wonderful teachers. I've been Toby Murphy for Murphy Music Academy, always here to remind you there's no pleasure in mediocrity. Happy practicing, and I'll see you next time.